believe your life that you live is what makes you who you are today. My life that I live, that's the reason I'm Elnora Terry. I believe my life can be full of joy, full of happiness, and that I can bring a little bit of that to somebody else. Life is just what you put in it.
Elnora Terry has found her life's calling as a foster grandparent volunteer through the 50 Forward AmeriCorps Senior Program. The tragic loss in her life of her only son led her to this new beginning. She is one of more than 40 foster grandparents in the Nashville area who have logged approximately 40,000 hours mentoring and tutoring nearly 300 children in high-need elementary schools and children learning centers just last year.
We're glad you joined us to hear these inspiring stories from older adults, people who have so much experience and words of wisdom to share, but are sometimes overlooked in society today. I'm Sally Hussey, the CEO of 50 Forward, a Nashville-based nonprofit. Our mission is to support, champion, and enhance the lives of those 50 and older.
And I'm Susan Sizemore, your guide through these beautiful conversations with those who are living life to the fullest and who know how to squeeze the day in their second chapter of life. Now, in my second chapter and encore career, I'm following my passion for sharing the stories of older adults with you and with the world. If you like what you hear, please rate and follow Squeeze the Day on your favorite podcast platform. Today's Squeeze the Day is brought to you by the All of Us Research Program from the National Institutes of Health. Learn how you can help change the future of health by participating in the program. Visit www.joinallofus.org to learn more. Let's learn more about Granny Elnora's journey and why she's so committed to building stronger communities by working with our youth. So, hello, Elnora. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
We're so excited to have you join us on Squeeze the Day. I want to start by talking a little bit about your role with AmeriCorps. I know AmeriCorps CEO Michael Smith came to Nashville recently to meet some of the 50 Forward foster grandparents. What did that visit mean to you?
I view it as just he was wanting to know something, a little something about each of us. And when it comes to talking about this program, I don't mind. I don't care who you are. I'm always glad to talk about the program. And he seems to have an interest in what our needs are. He seems to have an interest in what we're doing. That made me feel real good. I mean, I do it because I love it, but it makes me feel even more like getting up in the morning and coming in and doing what I do when I know even the man at the top, he doesn't have to say anything to me, but he appreciates what I'm doing. And everybody likes appreciation.
And you've kind of opened a door for something that I think we might want to explain to people, and that is, what is the foster grandparent program?
My personal opinion of the foster grandparent program, it is an avenue that after you have worked all your life and retired, and you're older now, and some of us thought that all we'd have to do is just sit and look out the window or look at TV. I'm still useful. I can still contribute. I'm the type of person, I don't want to sit down and rust out. I want to wear out. I want to do until I can't do anymore. And if I can contribute something that's a benefit, especially to children, if I can benefit them and enhance their growing, it's the best thing in the world that could happen.
That is so beautiful, the way you position that. And the fact that not only you are committed to staying active and not rusting out, as you say, but your story was so compelling. And I feel like in a lot of ways, when Michael Smith invited you to address an audience in Washington, D.C., and the group, I believe, consisted of grant recipients from across the country, in a lot of ways, he brought you in to tell your story again. How did it feel to represent the program and older adults at our nation's capital and to retell your story?
I had a ball. I felt just as comfortable as if I had been right here just talking to a friend. My story, it is tragic, but it's only tragic if you let it put tragedy in your life. I'm not saying that I'm glad it happened. What I'm saying is I lost my only child. And that is the worst thing that can happen in your life as a parent. But there is a reason for everything happening. That's my belief. I lost him, and I thought that since he was an only child, I would never have grandchildren. And when you're young and you're busy and you're working and you have so many things in your life, it doesn't bother you right then. But as you get older and you see children coming up, come on, Granny, let's go here, Granny, I love you, Granny, give you a hug, Granny, a kiss, Granny. It started to bother me. I'll never know what that feels like. That's one experience that I will never, ever have to go and receive. And with this program, I have more grandchildren than I could have ever had with one child. I'm sure by now I have some great grandchildren. No matter where I see the children that I have mentored as a grandparent, they call me Granny. I've done it since 2012, so you can imagine how many children are running around calling Elnora Terry Granny. It's just a program that if you're not through with life and you want to continue to contribute, if you get into the program, you're going to find that, yes, you're contributing, but in the end, you're going to receive more than you're giving.
So true, and such a beautiful story. And as you told that, I'm a mother of one son also, and it just evokes so much emotion to think about the tragic loss, but hearing you state that and then turning it around in your life to make something a positive, and then the rewards that you're getting from giving back to other kids who might not have any positive influence in their life is just wonderful.
It's the greatest feeling. When I go home after being at McNeely at 1 o'clock, I don't care if it's just one child that comes up. Like this morning, one of the children came up and said, "Happy Christmas, Granny." That means a lot to me. That starts my day with joy. She cared enough to tell me that she wants my Christmas to be happy. This is from a 4-year-old. And we have some adults that don't feel like that. Children are the most honest, loving, kindest human beings on earth. If we would pattern ourselves by following a child, there would be no problems on this earth. We'd all be loving and kind.
So you're learning firsthand from those young ones, aren't you?
Yes. You never get too old to learn. You might think you do, but you don't.
So I understood when you spoke to that group in Washington that not only were people eager to meet you, but you actually had like a receiving line of people wanting to get their photos with you.
And hugs.
That's so fabulous. Why is this so important to you?
For one, like I said, I feel useful. I feel like I'm contributing. And the other is, I believe that there are children where the parents want to be a friend and not a loving person. You know, it's like sometimes a child just wants you to say, "I love you." And like I said, give them a hug. And some of the underprivileged children, they don't get the love that they need. Everybody is busy. Some parents are working 2 or 3 jobs. Some houses, there's no father. There's just one parent. And she has to do, or he has to do the best that they can to make sure that they eat and have a place to live and the bills are paid. So they don't have time to give affection. I'm there for that. I let them know that anything that you set your mind to do and accomplish, as long as you take the word no or not out of your vocabulary, you can get there. Never stop reaching for the goal that you've placed for yourself. I'm 83, and I'm still reaching. I'm still climbing. I pray that God keeps me here just as long as I possibly can be here. And I probably won't be ready when he comes, but I know I got to go. But the thing is, if you continue to strive, to learn, to make the world a better place, to give knowledge, to give love, to give happiness to people, I don't like to be sad. And I don't like to be around people that are sad people. They're downers, and I'm not going to let you take my joy. So the best thing that I can say about the children are they're young, they're impressionable, they're individuals with different personalities. You can't lump them together. You have to get to know them. And believe it or not, they enjoy when you give them structure. They enjoy when you give them discipline. It lets them know that's another way of showing love, as long as you're not evil with it. My children are the best children in the program, and I know there's some that are good, but as far as I'm concerned, my children are the best children in the program. I tell them this every day, that your actions bring about consequences. It's up to you what the consequences are. If you do good things, you'll have good consequences. But if you do the wrong thing, and I never say bad, there's nobody bad. They make mistakes. I still make them. But just because you make a mistake, it doesn't mean you can't turn that around and make it better.
So tell us a little bit about your roots.
I'm a native Tennessean.
All right.
I was born on my grandfather's farm in Columbia, Tennessee. They moved to Nashville before I was a year old. So Nashville, as far as I'm concerned, is home. I married military. I've traveled different places, but I was so glad to come back home. There's no place like home. I don't care where you go. I enjoyed it when I was young because I thought I was having a good time. But as I got older, I was glad to come back home. 1960, I started working for the federal government. I stayed with them 38 years and retired. I lived in Clarksville 30 years. And then I moved back to Nashville in 1994. I've been here ever since. My siblings, there were three of us. I was my mother's only child. My stepfather, he had an only child, and they adopted a girl. Everybody's gone but me now. I'm the matriarch of the family. All my nieces and nephews, they come to me when they need something. I don't interfere. If they ask for advice, I give advice. But I don't tell them how they should live their lives, because I believe your life that you live is what makes you who you are today. My life that I lived, that's the reason I'm Elnora Terry, a granny at 54 at 83 years of age.
I'd like to hear a little bit about your average day as a foster grandparent.
I have not used an alarm clock since I retired in '08. But every morning, I'm awake by 6:30. I get up at 6:30, I go in the bathroom, do my thing, come back out, I get dressed. I'm usually dressed by 8 o'clock. I actually sit down and for about 30 minutes, then I go to McNeely. And, on the road to McNeely, when I'm driving, I'm talking to God. And I'm asking him to let my day be productive, to let my day be happy, full of joy. Let me give someone a reason to smile. Let me give someone a reason to say, I'm glad I know that lady. I don't want to cause anyone to not have a good day. I remember one morning I said good morning, and this gentleman said, what's so good about it? And I just said, well, I smiled at him. I said, you're alive. If there's nothing else, I thank God every morning for being alive. I had a mini stroke, and it scared me. It really scared me because my mom died from a stroke, and I saw it happen to her. So I knew what was happening to me. And they put me in the hospital. I was in there one day, and they said that I was starting to recover. And I said then, if you let me get back on my feet, even if I have to be with assistance in walking, I promise you, I will enjoy every day, every minute. And I'm not saying that I don't have days where some days the devil comes in and tries to make it a downer, but For some reason, I don't say I can push the devil away because I know he's bigger than me, but I can tell my God I don't take the devil away and my day turns around. I'm a firm believer that your day can be positive or negative, but it's all up to you. So I want every day to be full of joy, full of laughter, full of peace, everything good. Right now, I very seldom look at the news. And it's not because I'm not interested, but it's because when I hear of tragedies happening, I tend to feel real bad and I want to cry. I'll look at some news, and if it gets to be too bad, I'll switch stations. I know somebody's probably going to say, well, you don't know what's going on. Oh, yeah, I know what's going on because everybody else that look at the news tell me about it. I'm just the type of person that, and it might sound foolish, that I believe my life can be full of joy, full of happiness, and that I can bring a little bit of that to somebody else.
That's good, and I see that you do. If this conversation is motivating you to squeeze the day, learn more about getting involved in your home community, to deliver food, to volunteer, or to just get active. If you'd like to learn more, visit 54.org. That's FIFTY-FORWARD.org. There's so much to gain by helping others. Now, let's get back to our show. I want to talk just a moment about losing a child in general. Do you have any advice for other people listening who might have lost a loved one, but specifically a child?
When you lose a child, that's the worst tragedy in the world. It's worse than losing a parent. And God knows we go through when we lose our parents. When you lose your child, the thing that's in your mind, this is not right. Parents don't bury children. Children bury parents. God, why are you doing this to me? What is so wrong in my life that you would take my child, not only my child, but my only child? And you try and you figure it out, but you can't do it. The stigma is you don't want to seek help. The best thing in the world to do is seek help. I started with my clergy. I went from there to my doctor. I still wasn't satisfied. I went to see a psychiatrist. There's nothing wrong with it. Without you going out and getting the help that you need, you cannot get your life back. As bad as it is to lose your child, you're still alive. You're still here on earth. There's a reason for you to still be here. And what you need to do is seek all the help that you can get. In the meantime, if you're going through sorrow's valley and you need to cry, God gave you tears for that reason, to relieve the pressure. If you need to scream, I used to scream in my house. I try not to do it out in public because they'll lock you up. Don't do that. But in my house, if I felt like screaming, I screamed. That was my release. Even though I still grieved, I still have my moments. His birthday, holidays. Sometimes for no reason at all, I might walk by his picture. And if I want to cry, I have me a good cry. I have me a good cry. But my method is to relieve the pressure. If I don't relieve the pressure, I'd lose my mind. And like I said, there's a reason you're still here on earth. You still can be useful. You still can get solace. Look for the granny program. We take granddaddies. You can contribute. It does not mean that it has to be blood for it to be your child. Your child is your child because you love them. And when you have love, whether it's blood or not, you got a grandbaby. I have more grandbabies than the average person. God blessed me with that simply because of the Granny program at 54.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I really think the steps that you depicted could be very helpful for people because, to your point, sometimes people don't want to go through those steps. Sometimes there's stigmas
Yes.
attached to those steps.
Yes.
But everything is a journey and is a step. So thank you so much for sharing all of that. Let's talk a little bit about relationships. I'm sure you've got some really interesting relationships with students and their families. You want to talk a little bit about that?
I do. I guess about my second year, I had a little girl in my class, and I don't know, we just seemed to be drawn to each other. We would talk, and she was very attentive. And her mom came to me one day, and she says, "I don't know what you did to her." She said, "But she's always talking about you." And I told her, I said, "Well, that makes me feel good. That lets me know that I gave her something in her life that made her remember me." So I have a little girl this year, and her name is Maddie. And Maddie is a talker like me. We get along perfectly together. We enjoy each other. I had a little girl last year. She came up to me about my second day in the class, and she said, "Granny, do you need a hug?" And I said, "You know what? I really could use a hug." And she hugged me. And as she hugged me, she stepped back. She said, "You just needed that, didn't you, Granny?" And I
Oh.
said, "I did." But that was our ritual every day. But I found out she needed the hug.
Mm.
But she would always come to me and say, it's little things like that that people say it's nothing major, but it gives me joy in my life. And I'm giving them some joy in their life just to know that there's somebody thinking about you when they're not around you. There's somebody that just wants to tell you I love you and show you they love you.
Isn't that true? And hearing you tell these stories, I'm wondering, are there things with the grandchildren that you talk about now that maybe have become stories of impact or things that really resonate when you see them?
When things like that happen and you see the person, that brings a smile to your face, that brings joy in your heart. And children that when I first started, when I see parents, because some of them have multiple children and they have children they're bringing now, I'll ask about those children. There are certain ones that stick in your mind, the name, they tell me how they're doing. I ask how they're doing in school. I want to know that they're doing good, doing the best that they can do. I haven't had anyone telling me that a child has gone astray. That makes me feel good. Everyone I've asked about, the parents said they're doing good. I had a little boy last year. His name was Patrick. His dad brings his brother. And one day I was sitting in the classroom and he just came to the door to say hello, that Patrick still talks about me. Do you know how that makes me feel to know that a 4 and 5-year-old still remembers being with me and the things we did together? I won't say I feel like a queen, but I feel blessed. You know, you've had people touch your lives, and as soon as they're gone, you forget them. My thrill is when the ones come back and say, "I remember you, Granny." When you're in Walmart and you hear somebody across the store say, "Mama, there's Granny."
Mhm. I can't, that just warms my heart to hear you say that. That's beautiful. Sometimes with our guests, we like to do a speed round of questions. What would you tell your younger self?
Enjoy life, but be more serious and strive to go higher.
How do you stay positive despite the obstacles in life?
I pray a lot. I ask God to keep joy in my heart. And anyone that's a downer, I don't mean to be mean, but I don't want you around me. Don't bring my joy down.
What's your greatest wish for your grandchildren?
That whatever the goal they want to reach, that they will strive for it, never give up, stay positive, keep smiling, and know that you can be the best of whatever you want to do. There's never a doubt in my mind, and I don't want it in yours.
What would you tell others about this kind of volunteer opportunity?
It is an opportunity that you can continue to be useful. You can continue to contribute. You can continue to bring positivity into someone's life that needs it. It is a program that you're needed in, and you can enhance at any time. Never say, I don't want to do that because it's nothing to do. We stay busy. We stay doing things all the time. We have joy. We have great people that train us. It's the best program going as far as I'm concerned.
Good for you. Want to talk just a minute about our agency values. One of them is connecting older adults with one another and with resources so that they can live longer and healthier lives. Why do you think it's important for 50 Forward, as the oldest sponsor of the foster grandparent program, to continue this relationship?
Without 50 Forward, we wouldn't have anything. You know, sometimes I used to think as you get older, no one cares. I have found that if you want to be in an organization where they care, where they're positive, where you are the most important being, you don't have to go out and spend a lot of money. You don't have to go out and search. Try 50 Forward. All you have to do is give it a try, and I guarantee you, you will see the benefits. You'll get more out of it than what you're going to be giving.
And for folks, because 50 Forward is in Middle Tennessee, so we're really primarily in the Nashville region, there are senior centers and affiliations with the foster grandparent throughout the country, are there not?
There are.
So the bottom line, as you're saying, is just get involved.
Get involved. You never get too old to get involved. You never get too old to learn. You never get too old to contribute. I'm on a cane. And sometimes they tell me to slow down. I be moving so fast.
You do have to be careful, but I'm glad that you are using a cane. It's important to use those devices when we need them.
It is.
So we have two questions that we ask all of our guests. One of them is, what is one piece of advice that an older adult or a parent might have shared with you that at the time you thought, man, this is silly, but now it rings true in your everyday life?
My mom, her last 20 years of her life, I took care of her. And I can remember distinctly, we were shopping one day, and I can't remember, it was something I wanted. And I said, well, no, I better not get that. I need to do this. And she told me, she said, if there is something that you want and you have the money to buy it, as long as it doesn't keep you from paying your bills, keep a roof over your head, you get it. You work hard all your life. You need to enjoy life some. And I have learned that life is just what you put in it. You can sit back and you can say, I'm going to prepare, and I'm not going to spend this, I'm not going to spend that, I'm not going to do this, I'm not saying go crazy. But what I'm saying is, you might have millions of dollars in a room, and God can take the breath from your life in this room, and you never get to use it. Enjoy your life. Stay positive. Be happy. You don't always have to spend a lot of money, but you don't have to be a miser either.
That's a good point. And I want to know what it is, Granny Elnora, that you do to squeeze the day.
At night, I sit on the side of my bed and I examine my day. And I ask God, what did I do here? And I did this, and I think about what I did here. And if it's something that I've done during that day that I feel wasn't positive, I ask him, remind me of this tomorrow so that I don't redo it again. I want my days to stay, like I said, positive, full of joy and happiness. So that's my squeeze of every day, to see what joy and happiness I got out of today. And if I gave any.
Great advice. For all of you listening to this podcast today, I hope this leaves you full of joy and inspired. And to Elnora, we're thankful to you for sharing your words of wisdom with us.
Thank you.
Squeeze the Day is made possible through listeners like you. If you enjoy this podcast, please help us continue to share inspiring stories of older adults and visit 54.org. That's FIFTYFORWARD.org to make a contribution. Now, as I leave you today, I'm sending you all a big squeeze. Until next time.